Let me turn the program over now to the leader of that ticket, our illustrious Mayor, James Barberio.
I'd like to thank Dr. Joseph Weisberg, who's been with me since 2001 and former mayor. I also want to recognize former chief of Boonton Township, my uncle, Anthony Meany. And I also want to recognize Judy Tiedemann, former president of the Board of Education as well. First of all, I want to thank you. I'm very humble tonight. It's really nice when you come up here and you see the same faces for year after year from when I started in 2001. And that's a testament that, you know, you have good friends and you have individuals that believe in you. And I want to thank you all for that. This is tough looking at this table here because there's two individuals here that changed my diaper when I was a kid. But that's beside the point. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. But anyway, starting out 4 years ago when I ran for mayor, before I speak further, I'd like to have my running mates come up here with me as well. Vinny and Millen. I can tell you this, in 2009 when I ran for mayor, it was a different world for me. I was, I will admit it, I wasn't experienced. You know, you come in here, you want to be the mayor of the township, and it's in your dream, it's in your heart. And I became the mayor, thanks to a lot of individuals here and the voters of Parsippany-Troy Hills and my family and everybody that has helped me out during the course of my years. My former running mates, Ann Grassi and John Cicero, were a testament of what Parsippany is about. So I want to thank you for those 4 years ago and your continued support. But 4 years later, standing up here 4 years later, after being elected, taking office on January 1st, 2010, I can tell you, it's been a learning experience, but it's also been an experience for me that I would never, ever give up. I would do it again and again and again. Why? Because I love what I do. But there was a lot of challenges being the mayor in the times that we had. As you know, in 2006, 2007, the market crashed. The industry was collapsing, and there was a lot of things that had to be done in townships and municipalities. But when I took office, there was a lot of challenges. The first year in 2010, we lost $1.2 million in state aid due to the hard economic times, and that calculates into a 3.4% tax levy increase when you lose that type of dollars. But it had to be done. There was nothing that really could be done. We have to get our budgets in order, the state as well as the governor. Then in 2011, we have a 2% cap on budgets. One time we had 13 waivers, now we only had 3 waivers. And this really weighed heavy on Parsippany, because Parsippany is the town that is the largest in Morris County. We have great services, and as the mayor of Parsippany, I had to make a lot of tough decisions during those times, especially in 2011, because you know what happened in 2011. 2011, we got hit on August 28th with Hurricane Irene, which is very devastating to the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in many ways. Not just because it was a hurricane, because it affected the residents of Parsippany, especially in the Lake Hiawatha area. Now, I can tell you this, as the mayor of Parsippany-Troy Hills, I can tell you about that night, and I can tell you the effect that night had on me, the effect it had on the township, the effect it had on all elected officials, especially in our district. Betty Lou, you have, at the time, your husband, Alex DeProst, was a assemblyman, and he was very instrumental in keeping me together, to be totally honest with you. You had Jay Weber, you had Senator Panaccia, who were all there for me as well, and that's very important. And then you also had the council members who were there as well. But in Parsippany, I realized one thing. As a mayor, you got to make some tough decisions, and I've done that over the years, the course of the last 4 years, because I've had to face challenges that you just can't sit here and say, you know what, I have to push it off on somebody else. It doesn't work that way. You got to make decisions, you got to make them quick, and you have to make them fast. The 2011 budget, we went from a 7.7 tax levy increase in 2009 because I took over in 2010, and that 2009 budget I didn't have anything to do with. But here's the point I'm trying to bring out. Each year, I made an effort to lower that levy each entire year. Went from 7.7 in 2010, 4.9 in 2011, 2.9 in 2012, and 0 in 2013. Now, I said from day one, I got to get it to 0. And we worked hard on it. Now, we had to do some difficult things. As you know, with the storm, came a lot of, now let me just say this. Before the storm happened, I went back and I looked at how many mayors used sewer surplus in times of crisis and stuff like that when the town really needed it. And I saw we had a certain amount of sewer surplus. And I'm going to get to the sewer treatment plant in a moment. What happened in 2011, we were looking at laying off 24 township workers and 9 police officers. Well, let me tell you, I knew as the mayor, we couldn't afford to lay one person off. We were that short on staff. The police department would have been devastated if I had to lay 9 police officers off. That would have been the worst thing that the mayor could do at that time. 24 DPW workers. So I said to myself, you know what? Hopefully I get the support of the council. I'm going to use $750,000 in sewer surplus. I have no choice. And I know I'm going to get people that, individuals that don't agree with me, but it had to be done. And I brought that into the budget, and guess what? The council, with the support of the council, they supported it. Now, let's fast forward to 2011 and the storm. If we didn't do that, we would have never, ever be able to man that storm. We would have been down 9 police officers, and we would have been down 24 DPW workers. We had everybody out around the clock. Not only that, we knew that the residents that were devastated, we had to be there for them. And there was only one way to be there for them, through our township workers, our police department, and our volunteers. And I have to tell you, it was such a coordinated effort that I stood tall that day in weeks to come, and I was proud to be the mayor of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Not because of anything that I did, but because of all the work and all the dedication and loyalty of the police department, of the volunteers, of OEM, everybody in the township and DPW. If it wasn't for them, there's no way we would have survived. So any members that are here tonight, I want to thank you from my heart for all that you've done. Now, let's go to 2012. 2012 comes and go through another budget, go through a, you know, all budgets are grueling and they're really tough to deal with, but they have to be done. It seems safe, right? What hits us next? October 29th, Hurricane Sandy. Now, that was a different beast, and I'll tell you why. And it's important for a lot of people in this room to understand why Hurricane Sandy was difficult. We lost 85% of our town lost power. 85% of Parsippany-Troy Hills lost power. That's approximately 24,000 customers in Parsippany were without power. 90%, if I can quite remember, I have the chief with me here, 90% of the county was without power. So it seems real simple. We could just put power back on, right? Well, it doesn't work that way. But the devastating part that night wasn't so much how everybody lost power, is the infrastructure of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Would it fail? If the infrastructure fails, there's a lot of problems that lie ahead for Parsippany, and not very good ones. Would we have the ability to pump water? Well, that was one question that we had to huddle around and decide, could that happen? Could we pump sewer water? If we can't pump sewer water is going one place only, and that's into houses. And we were in a state of emergency on the town alone. I can tell you that night when I spoke to the chief, it was like every light, every area in the town was out. Thank God for OEM, thank God for the police department, thank God for our township workers, our volunteers. Again, once again, they demonstrated to the township that they can handle anything that comes their way. Again, I have to applaud them for what they've done that night. Now, with the efforts of our OEM, the efforts of many people in the town. I spoke with Councilman DePiero. I spoke to Councilman Ferrer, Stanton. We had a lot of dialogue there. They were participating. They were helping out in other areas. But I have to tell you, once again, you know, makes me proud to be mayor because I saw how it worked once again. And it was even a much better coordinated effort because it gets better each time. I don't want to see no more storms, though. But the fact is this. Parsippany doesn't ever give up. It always fights. And it doesn't fight by accident. It fights because the people that work for the town, and myself, everybody, all the constituents, they work hard, they love the town, and that's why it works. Now, let's get to 2013. 2013, we come up with a budget. We worked hard on this budget, truly hard. And I said, you know what? Let's give the taxpayers a rest for once. If we can get a zero tax increase, no tax increase on a municipal portion of the budget, that's instrumental. Well, we did it. We came with zero, and we didn't cut any services whatsoever. No services were cut, no tax increase. That's a testament of the last 3 years going into the 4th year of managing the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Now, we reduced our debt service by $1.9 million. Okay, well, I didn't pay it off myself. I mean, the residents paid it off. But the fact is, we kept it, we reduced it by 1.9%, which helps the tax levy. You don't have the debt service. And the neatest part about the debt service, if you get the annual debt statement, the state of New Jersey says your debt can't be in the 3% range. Then it's kind of like the alarms go off. You know what Parsippany's is? Our debt is 0.7%. That is phenomenal. 0.7%. We cut our insurance costs, our legal fees by $200,000. Across the board, we're cutting a lot of our expenses, and that's what makes things work. You know, you have to diligently work and move forward, and that's what we do at the township level. That's what I do, and I demand that from my department heads. I demand that from my administration as well. With that being said, as you know, I'm running for re-election. I'm running with Council Vice President Vincent Ferrer. He's running for re-election, and Millen Shaw is running for election on the council. Two good candidates who really love the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. The last 4 years, there's been many accomplishments, and the accomplishments are going to keep coming. Why? Because the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills deserves it. When I became the mayor in 2010, I'm going to tell you a story of a mayor from Morris Plains. Frank Drutzeler and I, we went out to breakfast. We sat down. You know what the first thing he said to me was? The first thing he said to me was this: you should go back to the slogan that Mayor Frank Perori had. He said, you should go back to pride in Parsippany. I said, you know what? I think you're absolutely correct. We should go back to pride in Parsippany. Parsippany is the place to live and work. There's no doubt about that. But when you have pride in something, and you appreciate it. And Parsippany, I went back to pride in Parsippany. And of course, those 16 years when it wasn't there, it had to be built back up. And it was built back up. People are proud to be in Parsippany. You know how you know that? We were voted the #1 best place to live in the state of New Jersey in 2012. And it's 15th in the nation. That's a testament. This is a good town to live in. So we bring pride in Parsippany back, and I have to tell you, I have a lot of the kids, the Boy Scouts come to my town hall, the Girl Scouts come to town hall. And Mayor Priori, I found one of your old buttons. And the button says, and I show every kid this button, it says, pride in Parsippany, it's working. And I saw pictures way back when I had a lot of hair, and that is true today. When the kids see, actually one kid tried to take it on me. I said, it's only one of a kind, you can't touch it. You can't take it. But needless to say, pride in Parsippany does work. And it works for several reasons. Not just because I'm the mayor, but because we have a great town government, we have a great police force, great DPW, public works. We have a lot of things. Our volunteers are fantastic. And of course, our senior citizens are fantastic. You know, when I go to the community center, I have to tell you, that community center is amazing. When I go there, I don't want to leave. but I have to leave because they won't let me play bingo. But I tell you, Parsippany offers so much. And for the amount of taxes that are being paid and what the services you get, when you think about the average tax in Parsippany, or the average house is set at $309,000, I'll tell that story in a moment. $309,000, the average tax is $1,800 a year for all the services that the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills gives. The problem is that's 21% of your budget. 63 to 64% of it is the Board of Education, and I'm not going to go there. That's their beef. But that being said, I'm not going to speak much longer because I know everybody wants to have a good time, but I do want to say this, and I truly mean this. I'm not going to forget my family, and I mean that too. But before I end, I do want to recognize my wife, Brenda, who I'm so proud of. I'm going to tell you, when I ran for mayor in 2009, she was running the whole show. She was like running everything. You do this, you do that. Going to school full-time, being a mom full-time, and working. I mean, I don't know, I could never do that, ever. And my wife went back to school. She got her teacher's degree. She was teaching in Montville part-time, and now they hired her full-time. Oh. That's great. And I got to say this. My wife, and I'm going to bring up the PAO for a moment. Tony Bonavita-Cola started a program. What's the name of the program, Tony? Games with Friends. Games with Friends for...
I started it.
Oh, okay, you started. Sorry, Tony. Games with Friends for the children that have disabilities. And that program has taken wings. It's flying now. And that's because of Tony and my wife. And you know what? When you have people in the township that want to do the things that they want to do, and recognize so many people, so many young kids, children, family, friends, seniors, that's what's amazing about Parsippany. And I've been here since 4 years old. I love every moment of Parsippany, every moment that I've been here in Parsippany, and I'm looking for another great 4 years with Parsippany. I also want to recognize my daughter, Angela, who's put up with a lot over the last so many years. And Junior, my son, Jamie. You know what? You need your family to keep things together, and they can tell you stories. It's very difficult being mayor of a town and trying to raise a family, but it gets done, and not just by me, because of my wife. She's fantastic and wonderful, and I can't say any more about her. Well, I could, but But that being said, now
of our business.
I know. Now, let me say this now, in closing. I'm not going to tell you anything other than I love this town. I love the people in the town. I love the fact that you have allowed me for the last 4 years represent you. And I want that to continue. Why? Same thing, because I love the town. And because I'm dedicated, I'm honorable to the town, and I'm loyal to the town and its residents. I will fight for you all the way. I will never stop. If there's, and I have to say this. I don't know if anybody remembers the 2% cap. Well, that was difficult, and I was upset, and I'm not going to lie, at the governor. I was very upset because I looked at our budget, and I said, how am I going to do this? How am I going to have a 2% cap and keep everything the same way? What is he, crazy? I said, what does this governor know? I said to myself, wait till I see him. Thank God I didn't go see him, though. But let me tell you, he challenged me. He challenged me. He challenged all of us. He said, this is how it has to be. The taxpayers in the Parsippany and the state are suffering. They're hurting. People are hurting in the entire state, if not the entire nation. He challenged me. I was up for the challenge. And I have to tell you this. I wasn't sure if the 2% cap would work. But you know what? It worked. And I have to applaud the governor for that, for sticking to his guns and keeping mayors like me, giving me that challenge and to move forward and to progress. So I want to thank Governor Chris Christie for that. And I will tell you this, the governor of New Jersey is dedicated to the taxpayers of the state, also the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. We have a lot of challenges ahead. I'm up for them. So I ask you on June 4th, to vote for my ticket, myself, for mayor, Council Vice President Vincent Ferreira, and Milan Shah. This is the best ticket, best for the town. Thank you, and God bless you all.